Test, test. All right, you ready? Are you first?
Yeah.
All right, here you go. Just put that up there.
Right with this?
Yes. Perfect. There you go, and it's live, so.
All right.
And I don't know if this mark told you, but you stand on the white line.
Oh, okay. How am I supposed to put this? Like right here? Is this where this is supposed to be? Okay. All right. Are my judges ready?
We're ready.
Have you guys ever wanted to go to the gym or want to get fit and not know what to do or how to go about it, or you're too scared to go to the gym? My name is Sage Smith, and I'm here to talk about how to go to the gym, the benefits of fitness, and how to start going about it. There it is. To first start off, I'm going to talk about the rate in the United States. The obesity rate in the United States last in 2020 was 42% of adults are obese. That's like half the population almost obese. Next is diseases and illnesses that are connected to being obese or overweight, which include heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer, and there's so many more. It could go on for I don't know how many pages. Then less than 50% of adults actually exercise per week. That's just less than half the population in the United States that don't go out, don't run, don't lift, don't do anything. They're just sitting on their couch or going to their jobs, coming back, going to bed. Why I started. When I first started lifting, it was for school stuff. It was for like track or just the weight class even. I found it fun. It was fun. It was healthy, I thought. Then after I did sports and all that, I just wanted to look better. I wanted to gain my weight. I wanted to be a better looking person than I was before. And then I just wanted to be healthy from there on. I wanted better joints because my knees were always hurting and stuff. I wanted to be more healthy, be at a good weight, look good, and it just overall better. It helps you have a better, clear mind, helps you stay, fit, healthy, all that. What to know when you first start lifting or want to go about doing this? First, you should set your own goal. Your own goal shouldn't be like someone else's. because everyone else wants something different. Either someone wants to gain weight or someone wants to lose weight. Someone just wants to be active, have their joints moved and all that. It all depends on the person. Everything is different per person. And then it doesn't happen overnight. When I first started, it took about maybe a month to see any results at all. And then most people, it usually occurs around the month, but it can take longer. It just depends on how you go about it, how you work out, what your plan and goal is. And then when you are working out, in order to gain more muscle, you need to first damage that muscle. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but when you tear a muscle, like when you're working out, you tear the muscle fibers, and then those fibers regain and become stronger, more resistant and durable, which is how your muscles grow and increase in size and all that. And the rest and proper nutrition should be above anything else. It should be above your form, your, I guess, workout plan, all that. Because without proper rest, you're not gonna recover right. You're gonna still be injured, and your muscles aren't gonna be at their fullest next time you go use them. And without proper nutrition, you're not gonna have the right amount of fuel or like proper nutrition, I guess, to help you go when you're working out or going to run or whatever. And then you can learn about it almost anywhere. Let's say you don't have access to the internet. You can go to the library, you can just go to the gym, you can ask around, you can look at the machines. All of them tell you what they do. It's however you want to go about it. If you do go online though, there's so many different websites, different apps, there's influencers. It's crazy how much stuff you can find online at the library and books, or even just on machines. Next is cardio. Cardio is a major thing, cardio and weights. Cardio is more of a thing you want to do if you want to burn more fat. You don't want to lift as much, you just want to be healthy. Cardio burns more fat because you're moving more. You're not just staying lifting weights, putting them down. You're burning more fat. And then it helps your joints because instead of just like lifting and then putting it down, you're actually moving, you're swinging your arms, you're moving your legs, your knees, your hips. It helps your joints stay active and healthy. And it's very versatile. At the gym, I can count at least 5 different things: elliptical, stairs, bike. There's so many more. And then there's also, not out of the gym, there's the track. You can run, you can jog, you can walk around town, you can go swimming. There's so many different things you can do for cardio. It's insane. And then the main idea for cardio is at least 30 minutes of elevated heart rate at least twice a week. Once a week you can get by with, but at least twice a week is the healthiest thing you can do. Next would be strength training after the cardio, because cardio would be considered more important. Strength training is when you just work out. It's many people think it's just like weights, free weights, and all that. It can be resistance, like bands, pulleys, cables. It's however you want to go about it. At the gym, there's the Smith machine, cables, pulleys, resistance bands. Strength training increases the size and durability of the muscles because, as I said before, when you strength train, you destroy the muscle fibers, you tear them, and then they rebuild together, which is why nutrition and rest is important as well. And then always assess an injury or any pain you have, because if you get hurt, you're going to stay hurt until you assess it, you go rest, you get proper nutrition, you wait a little bit. And then form overweight. Form should always be overweight. If you're lifting too much and your form is horrible, that's where the injury occurs. That's how you get hurt. That's how like major bodybuilders stay hurt. They don't assess the form over the weight. Once you have the form down and you have the weight all right, you should be fine. And after like say a couple weeks or months, you should increase that weight and you should increase the repetition. No one stays at the same weight. Like a person lifting 5 pounds won't stay lifting 5 pounds after a whole year of lifting. They increase the weight, they increase the repetition. For my project, I made a weight bench, I made a rack, and then I made weight plates. My project shows how easy it can be to go about getting gym equipment. You can just make it at home. Anyone can do it. You don't have to have like access to a lumber yard as long as you have scrap wood. I made all mine out of scrap wood. I made the bench out of pallet wood. And then it doesn't have to be expensive. As I said, all mine was scrap wood. I think I spent maybe $40 on the screws. That was for a big bucket. and then you can do it at your house. So let's say you're scared of the gym. You can go home, you can work out, and then once you figure out how to work out at the gym, you can go, or at home, you can go to the gym. You'll be acclimated to it. You'll know what to do. That's my, that's the barbell of my plates. That's my bench, and that's my rack. What I used, as I said before, I made the bench out of the scrap pallets, and then I made the rack out of scrap wood and the plates out of the scrap wood. I spent only like $40 on the big bucket of screws. I had how many left over, so I didn't need them. I already had the circular saw and the drill, but if someone were to want to go buy one, you can get a cheap one for like maybe $40. Cheap saw, maybe like a $20 drill. It doesn't cost a whole lot. Now that you know what to do with your, now that you know how to go about going to the gym and what you know about exercise, you should know that you don't need to fear the gym. You don't need to fear going about exercising. You should know how to go about doing it. You should know where to get the info. Like if you don't have access to the internet, or if you do, you can go online. You can go to the library. You can go around the gym. You can go on the gym machines looking, or just ask people. And then you should know the priorities, like how to prioritize rest and nutrition over actual training, and how you should do form over weight. Next, you should just enjoy the gym. Once I started lifting and working out, I enjoyed it very well. After like a couple weeks, it was just a fun thing to do. It was more of a hobby than anything. There's my works cited. Do my judges have any questions?
What do you consider most important, cardio or weight?
Well, depending on your goal, probably.
I don't want to do cardio. If I'm running, that means somebody's chasing me. I want Officer Cunningham to shoot whatever he's chasing.
Well, it depends on your goal. If you're trying to just lose weight, you can do cardio, but you can also lift weights. It depends on how you want to go about your goal. There's seated cardio stuff too.
So on your barbell, like, can you change the weight?
Yeah, those come off. I have
Come off.
I have,
So you have several different sets to go on that.
Mhm.
So what are your weights?
I think they weigh about 5 pounds each, and I have extras. I just couldn't fit them on that bar. I have another bar, but
So you have like 3 different,
yeah, I have about 6 of them.
about 6 of them.
Mhm.
Enough that you have to body you?
No, it doesn't get that much. It was more, I was thinking about curls and stuff more.
Okay.
I like the creativity. Hey, you wouldn't have an excuse not to do it.
Yeah. Am I supposed to stay up here?
Any other questions? I'm just curious. I remember, talked about weight really reduced injury.
Mhm.
So is that?
That's what he was talking about, the form over the weight. You should always prioritize form over weight. That's how like big bodybuilders, they lift so much and then they don't do the right form because it's so much weight they can't. That's how they get injured.
Okay, so when you say form, you mean like I think about squats, because that's something
Yeah.
that I would do, like how to do the squats correctly where I'm, helping my abdomen, but I'm not hurting my back.
Yeah,
So that's what you mean.
like how, I guess you wouldn't know probably. Ronnie Coleman is in a wheelchair. He was a Mr. Olympian. When he was squatting like 800 pounds, he hurt his disc or something because he had bad form.
I do like the fact you put in there, you need proper nutrition to go with it. I think this would go, maybe they're hitting the weights, but maybe their nutrition is
Yeah.
not the best.
You can still gain muscle, but if you don't like eat good enough at all, like enough protein or anything, you're not gonna gain any benefits. You're just gonna be sore. Thank you. Where do you want me to put this? Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's just pretty. Thank you.
Okay, I need the same explanation. I got it. Okay.
Are my judges ready? Okay. WALL-E, a well-known movie known in the US about a lonely garbage collecting robot made by the humans. While this robot is on the Earth, the humans are up in the galaxy trying to find any source of life using other robots. Once that one robot gets the source of life, they go back to the humans in the galaxy, and we finally get to see later on in the movie what the humans actually look like and what they're doing. They are overeating, overweight, and they are lacking exercise because they're relying on technology for transportation. Whenever we think of physical activity, we think of trying to be the bigger person in the room or trying to get the slimmest waist. And although physical activity does help with that, it's not all of what should matter. Now, I think this is a big problem in the US today because I think that we lack physical activity because we don't really know what it is. Whenever we are doing this physical activity, we are slowly reducing chronic illnesses later on in the future and we are reducing the risk of any bad habits and any bad physical aspects of it in the future. And for a bonus, we are also boosting our mood mentally. In other words, we are sweating to smile. Hi, my name is Brianna Han, and I will be telling you guys the benefits of the physical and mental health benefits. Now, once again, we only think about trying to get the slimmest waist or the amount of muscle in the room, but that's not all that matters. Whenever we do any physical activity alone, we are reducing any chronic illnesses, and we are strengthening our stamina. Whenever we're walking up the stairs, we are trying to hide our breath, trying to make sure nobody knows that we are out of breath. And it's because we lack the amount of exercise because the stamina is reduced. It also helps with any joint pain and muscle pain. Think of it as a bike. The more we ride the bike, the more the chains and the parts and just everything about the bike is being used, and the less likely the chains will be rusty. That's just like our joints. Whenever our joints are being used, the amount they reduce of the rusty part. And our muscles get tight whenever we don't use them. So whenever we are doing something, our muscles relax. Now, physical activity is really important, not only physically, but mentally. Whenever we exercise mentally, we are relieving stress and any tension throughout our body. Most of the high school students are being stressed out over finals and just things that are going off at home. And I think that physical activity can give them less time to worry about those things. So the more time we exercise and work out, the less time they have to worry about those things. And I also think that the students are very important and make impacts in the world today. We don't realize it, but high school students are always looked up to from either very little or to the high school students. Peers look at peers. And I think that since mental health benefits include a positive attitude, then if we have positive attitudes, our community and other people around us will also have that positive attitude, leading to a bigger impact. But there's more than just that impact that we should be worrying about. It's our future. Whenever we age, our brain also ages with us. It becomes tinier and it has more health risk factors. And whenever we are growing in our life, then we have more time to pick up those bad habits and those bad addictions. And whenever we're stressed and worried about them, we tend to pick up more as we go on. We need to improve the quality of our life physically and mentally. Whenever we exercise, it releases endorphins and dopamine. In other words, we are getting that confidence booster, which is increasing our self-esteem. And I don't know about you guys, but confidence makes me happier, and whenever I'm happier, other people are happy. It not only changes me as a person physically and mentally, but it also changes other people physically and mentally. They want to do what you want to do. You influence them, and the peers watch you. There are many ways of physical activity, not just sports, but other things. There's track and field, tennis, basketball, baseball, there's pickleball as well, and I think I'm going to focus more on the pickleball side. During the summer, whenever I went to go play tennis at the courts in Willow Springs, the high school students mainly, played pickleball every single night. And I just thought, since they like to get together, why not have the community get involved and make a bigger impact? So that's exactly what I did. I made a pickleball tournament on October 25th of 2024. It not only helped me, but it benefited my community and my friends around me. It helped me grow as a leader. It helped me show what I am capable of, and it showed me that I need to take control. I needed to have the time management because I procrastinate a lot, and this really helped me to just get out there and just get it done and do things on time. It also helped me to adapt. I had many problems throughout this project, and it helped me to think on the spot for these challenges. It also got not only me, but my community out of their comfort zone. I don't like to really talk in front of people, so especially people that I don't know, and this really helped me with that. It made them stronger and my community stronger, and it just really helped us get all together and become really one with the community. I had many benefits along the way. I had a total of 15 teams, and it was really fun. I started out as 15. It reduced sadly down to 5, but overall it was really fun. The brackets had to change constantly because people were slowly not wanting to play, and they were either sick or they had work or they had extracurriculars. So that was really hard, but luckily my mentor is not only a pickleball fanatic, but she's a tennis fanatic too, so she was really helpful throughout the entire thing. And the high school students were really fun too. I also had some college students. I had the age from 15 to 20 years of age, but I should have involved the teachers next time. I think if I'd done this again, I would definitely involve the teachers, and I would ask them if they wanted to play, because after I had the pickleball tournament, they kept coming up to me and they kept asking why they weren't invited to. I also had the teams come up to me and ask if there was something worth it. There was something like a prize. And I'm like, well, are you still going to play if I don't? And they're like, maybe. So I had to get something to go along with it. So I had a friend make first, second, and third place trophies out of 3D print, and luckily he was happy to help. He didn't ask if they would cost anything, so that was really helpful too. And although there was only 5 teams left, it was really fun, and the people that didn't win necessarily, they had the most fun, and I had more pictures shown of them laughing. As you can see, the girls in the pink, although they got last place, they really had the most fun, and I got the most pictures of them. And that really made my research come to life, because that really showed me that although you don't win, you can still have fun mentally and physically. Like I said, I have many challenges throughout this project. I had a decrease in players. I had a total of 15 to 5, and that was really stressful because I had to think on the spot. Although I had the brackets to where you play 2 teams, and if you lose both of those, then you're out. But this time, since I only had 5 teams, my mentor said that I should do players play players. So that means all teams play all teams. And I think that was really good for me and my community, because it just really showed me that it can really help them get involved and really know more people. And most of the players did not know how to play. So I had to make a group chat and added everyone in there, and I had to get everyone's phone numbers. And then I had a document of all of the rules and how to play and what you needed and what to wear and just things like that. And it really helped them. And it really just made us, were able to get together in like one place on a text message and just let everyone know what they're doing. And there were multiple sports going on. Like I said, time management was really hard. I didn't want to do it towards the end because I knew people were going to be busy. I was going to do it in the right off the bat so that the weather was really nice, and luckily it was really nice. But I also had to make sure the courts were reserved. Now back to the beginning. Whenever those humans are lacking exercise, they are using the technology for transportation. And I think that's really important. We can't, our future is going to the direction that's not very good. We need to change our path, and we need to start it with this community. That's why I made this pickleball tournament. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions?
So did you teach, like when you had your tournament, did everybody already know how to play pickleball, or did you like do some moves, maneuvers to teach them? Because like I would not know what I was doing.
So most of them did know how to, but I had to make a document that had all the rules on it, and I had to send it to them, and then I asked them if they had any questions. And then on the day of, I had line judges, and they were very helpful. And if they didn't know, because I wasn't necessarily like over them, like constantly watching them, so the line judges really helped them a lot with that too. And most of them didn't know how to play.
So I used to play tennis years ago and just get beat, So how is it easier, harder? I mean, I'm looking at a smaller paddle. It looks to me like ping pong ball on a tennis court. So I mean, what's the...
You can definitely hit a lot harder because
Okay,
the ball is like really soft,
Okay.
but it's a lot fun. It's just like tennis and ping pong together, like mixed in. So it's just really fun. It's like easy to learn too, I would say.
I have a comment, maybe not a question, but I think I know why all the teachers were not invited, because apparently our brains were too small, right? When we get older, our brains get smaller.
Maybe.
That's why we weren't invited.
Is there any other questions?
So I'm a little confused on you had 15 people originally, 15 teams signed up, and only 5 actually made it that day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's hard to get people
Yes.
to commit.
Yeah, and
Saturday shows up, I'm assuming it was a Saturday?
yeah, it was a Saturday. It was around 2 p.m. because I knew people had church later on, because I had some Russians play. So I wanted to make sure everyone was able to play, and I fit around all of the sports. Yeah. Yep. Coach Rhodes. Yes. She had a lot more fun than I did. Yes.
I feel like it was a success overall.
I definitely think so. Although there was many challenges, I think this was definitely a positive thing, not for just for me, but the community. It didn't feel like a project. It felt like just a hangout. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it fine. Okay. Okay, are my judges ready? Did you know that according to USA Today, nearly 6 million high school students participated in some type of varsity level sports last year during the 2024 season? This shows that the United States as a whole is starting to get more involved in some type of physical activity, and the younger generation are starting to get more involved in it. Hi, my name is Mackenzie Collins, and for my senior project, I decided to host the second annual flag football game here at Willow Springs High School. Ricky Bobby once said, "If you ain't first, you're last." And I 100% agree with that statement. As a four-sport varsity athlete, I believe that being physically active and overall living a healthy lifestyle is the way to go. And that's why my love for sports drove me to pick my research paper on the benefits of being physically active. When you're physically active, it helps improve your joint mobility and enhances your balance and coordination, making you a well-rounded athlete and helping your performance on the court. When you're also involved in some type of physical activity, you're usually in the weight room or doing some type of cardio exercises, and that can help really reduce injuries. If for some reason, though, you do happen to get an injury, if you were previously physically active, it can overall help your rehabilitation and process go by so much faster. And with being in the weight room, it helps strengthen your bones, muscles, joints, and ligaments. For my second part of my research, I wanted to try to look up the real big health aspects with being physically active. When you're physically active, you typically have proper nutrition and good eating habits, and so it can help fuel your body throughout the rest of the day. As an athlete, you want to be able to last throughout the whole day, especially with practices. And so with having good eating habits and everything, it really helps your performance overall. Also, while researching, I came to find out that when you're previously physically active, it can help lower the risk of some types of diseases as well. such as cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and it can even lower the risk of some types of cancers. For my third and final talking point in my research, I wanted to look up the social benefits of being physically active and how it can overall help bring everyone together as a whole. When you're involved in sports, you learn to build determination and good leadership skills. It can also show you how to respect others. You want to treat people you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. And so with that being said, it helps you really get good sportsmanship within each other as well. For my product, I decided to host the second annual flag football game. My mom was a 2-time All-American cheerleader in high school, and my dad was an all-state shot putter, a school record holder, and an all-star football player. So growing up, I was always physically active or involved in some type of extracurricular. I started doing competitive dance and gymnastics around the age of 2 years old, and then later involved into sports. And I have a little brother, so we're always outside playing some type of sport. And so that's why I knew I wanted to have my product be involved with football somehow. And that's why I did the flag football game. With my product though, there were many things I had to consider. Like starting off, I had to figure out what day I wanted to do it. And there were many things that came with it. First off, many of the football athletes here at Willow wanted to be able to participate in the flag football game. So I had to make sure it wasn't during football season. With MSHSAA, there's lots of rules, as we all know. And so I had to make sure that my game was not during the football season, or the athletes would be ineligible for the next season. I also had to consider basketball practices. As a basketball athlete myself, I had to make sure I scheduled around all the games, the events, and even the practices. And then other senior projects. Spike Wars was going on around the exact same time as my project. So I had to make sure that I picked a day that Spike Wars wasn't going on because many of the athletes wanted to participate in both of the games. And then finally, the field availability. Willow Springs as a whole is always using the football field. Same with the YMCA and the school. So I had to make sure that no one was using it at the time, and I had to really make sure I could have the field available. Getting started into my product though. When getting started, about 3 weeks before my game, I put out this sign-up sheet, as you can see right here, in Coach Brookshire's room. I allowed the high school students to have 1 week to sign up. I had 4 teams for this game. Each team consisted of 11 players and 2 coaches per team. Once I got back all the t-shirt order forms and the sign-up sheets, I collected them and took them home. With that being said, that's when I placed in my order for the t-shirts. The t-shirt orders only took about 5 days, so it wasn't too long. And so while I ordered the t-shirts, I started making the design. That was a little bit of a struggle because I'm not that good at technology, but luckily I had my mom to help me. This is the final design that we came up with for the shirts. For the shirts, I decided to have the blue team be the freshmen, the pink be the sophomores, the green be the juniors, and then black and purple be the seniors. Once I got the shirts all in, then I decided to start ironing everything on so that they would be ready for the game. 2 weeks before the game is when I hosted my final meeting for the flag football game. Everyone met in the gym during advisory, and that's when I was able to pass out all the t-shirts and extra papers that everyone would need. These papers consisted of the brackets, any other rules or additional information that the kids would have any questions on or anything like that, and so that they would be able to come to me and ask me if they had any questions. After that day, I went to the YMCA, where Terry was very helpful in helping me get all the flags ready for my game so that everything was just really ready for when it was time. And then finally, I had to finish any last-minute touches I had on my signs, as you can see here. My admissions for the game was a non-perishable food item. It was around Thanksgiving time when I hosted the game, so I wanted to make sure I was able to give back to the community somehow. And so I had the admissions be a non-perishable food item. I gave this food, as you can see down here, to Pine Grove House of Prayer, which is my grandpa's church, so that he could put it in his Thanksgiving baskets that he gives out to people who are in need. On the big day, the people helping set up arrived around 5:20, and that's when we started getting everything set up, the field and just everything ready for the games. And then the game started around 6 p.m. When hosting my game, I really had to consider, I know how kids are and I know how sports are. We want to usually play a lot, and so I decided to have a bracket, as you can see right here. I wanted to allow everyone to have at least 2 guaranteed games during the night. And so I had the freshmen play the juniors first, and the juniors ended up winning. And then the sophomores play the seniors, and the sophomores won. And then after that, I had the 3rd place game, which the seniors won. And then for the 1st place game, the sophomores ended up winning. As you can see here in this picture, here is the sophomores flexing with their medals because they were very excited to be all the upperclassmen. After that was done though, this is when the real fun started. The sophomores got the privilege to play the teachers in a staff game. And we're really not sure who won that game because it was a little chaotic, but other than that, everyone had a lot of fun and it was an overall great experience. My biggest challenge throughout this process was that no administration showed up to my game. So as a high school senior, trying to boss around all these high school students was a lot of work. And we all know how sports are, especially football. One bad call gets made and everyone starts fighting and cussing each other out. So trying to keep everyone calm and keep the peace was a very big challenge. But luckily I had my mentor, Coach Earls, there to try to help keep everyone as calm as possible and try to get them through the next play. And then the only other thing, like I said before, was that the field availability. I just had to make sure no one in the town was using it and it was just really right for the day. Like I said in the beginning, overall, I believe that being physically active and living an overall healthy lifestyle is the way to go. I'm an athlete, so I know how everything is, and I believe that they can help your life in so many different ways. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions?
Did you anticipate that you were going to have difficulties with the actual event with disputes?
I know how kind of like the junior and sophomore class are, so I figured we were gonna have a little bit of problems, but I thought like one of our principals were gonna be there to help a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, it's okay. I think I controlled it, like I handled it pretty well, and Coach Earls was there to help me, and it just, yes, yeah, I had Coach Tooley, he's my uncle, and so he was able to be there to help like kind of control all that up in the, yes.
So people that came to watch brought the food.
Yes, and then lots of
Like
the,
an entry for food.
yeah,
Okay.
lots of the athletes also brought food to help out too.
You have a plan B if weather was an issue.
Yes, actually, it was a very, very cold night. Everyone was all bundled up. And so I was going to have it really either way on that day, but if it was to rain, I think I was going to be able to push it back the next weekend as well because no one was using the field that day as well.
What are your plans next? Looking at the schedule behind you, you're going to be pretty sure you're going.
Yes, I'm going to Mineral area I'm going for track and field, yes.
I probably had your
Maybe, yeah. Is that good? Thank you.
Good luck tonight. Have fun. Yeah, they're finished. Yeah, for you. Yeah, I have very hard.
Yeah, he does.
You'll stand on my white line. John.
All my judges ready? Sports have been shown to increase the grade point averages and decrease dropout rates among student athletes. This is the reason I believe that school sports should continue being provided by schools and competed in. And some schools have talked about getting rid of some competitive team sports, but I think that's a mistake. My name is John Jones, and today I'll be talking about going beyond the game into greatness through sports and into life. Sports build character. Team sports build a team player mentality, so athletes who competed in these sports are have an easier time talking and working together with people from different backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, because they're used to it through their sport. And the sports, through this team player mentality, build cooperation because players are, that it's easier for them to cooperate with people on different projects. Like in work, in college, on a group project in school, it's easier for them to cooperate with people from all different kinds, walks of life, and all different kinds of people. And sports build a belief that teams can do better than just an individual by themselves. And this belief makes them think that if they can't do something and they're working with somebody else, it can make it easier for them because there's someone there to help them and they're not by themselves. And the positive characteristics taught through sports. Sports teach social skills, so it's easier for a person who participated in these sporting events to, especially team sports, to communicate better with people. They can display themselves more properly because they've had to do it before for their sport, or just because they've been around people for so long and they've spent so much time around other people. Athletes also have to work to play. When Coach Ian Airy was asked if sports build the hardworking attributes of life, he said, absolutely, because if you want your spot on the court, on the field, in the gym, whatever it is, you have to work as hard as you can to beat out everybody else who wants your spot. And through this, sports create positive work ethic. you want to work hard because you want to get to where you're going. You don't want to be stuck behind someone else. So you want to be the number one guy in your position at your job. You want to get what you need to get done and effectively, because if not, somebody else will pass you. And the mental benefits of sports. Sports are shown to build a positive self-view. This makes athletes specifically look at themselves better because they have more belief in themselves, because they've shown themselves through work, through dedication, through grinding it out, through their sport, that they can do more than what they thought they could. And because of this, sports build confidence. This confidence helps them do stuff that they maybe didn't think they could do before. It shows them that they can do. It makes them believe that they can do more than what they thought they could. And sports are shown to decrease depression in athletes. A study that went from 2013 to 2017 showed that sports or student athletes compared to normal students, the depression rate was 7 to 17% less, depending on the record and everything. But because of this, it showed through their research that sports are statistically shown to lower the depression rate in student athletes. And the bonds built by sports. Team sports build strong bonds. You stick together with your teammates for a long time. You're with each other for way longer than you want to be sometimes. And this builds these bonds, whether it's just your close-knit friend group within the sport that you're playing, or it's the whole team as a whole. Even if you're not that close outside of the sport, in the sport, you have to work together and you have to be on the same page. And because of this, you can build family-like bonds with your teammates and your coaches too, because you view them as your family because you spend so much time with them. And this makes it easier for you to build bonds with other people throughout life as well. Now for my senior project, I want to create videos that teach the basics and fundamentals of football for children Mighty Mites age. And my plan for this project is these videos will be sent to the Mighty Mites coaches so that they can show the next generation of Willow Springs football players the basics before they decide they really want to play, and so they know what they're doing before they actually step on the field. And in these videos, it teaches the basic skills and positions such as a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, every position I could think of on the offensive and defensive side of the ball that most teams run. And in my project, I videoed, I edited, I directed everything, and I wrote everything that would be said in the videos. And I personally was in 2 of the videos. I taught the offensive line and defensive line portions of the videos as well. And here, for the other positions, I brought in some people from our high school football team to help me because it was more their area of expertise, and they knew how to word it better because they've been doing it for so long. So for my quarterback video, I had Christopher McCune come in, and he taught the basics of the quarterbacking position. He's a junior, and he was our backup quarterback this year. That's the top corner over there is Braden Scarborough. He's teaching the basics of being a running back there. And I chose him because he played running back for us this year. And I figured he'd have a pretty good working knowledge of the position. Now, my project wasn't without its challenges. One was editing trouble. I have never edited a video before, and it was a learning curve for me, especially since I decided probably not with the best software to use. I used CapCut, which is more designed for short form videos, and my videos were 15 minutes and 20 minutes long, meaning it didn't really want to work at first, so I had to work around some stuff to get it to work. And then another problem I had was my videos deleting. Twice I had my videos completely edited exactly how I wanted them, and they deleted because I forgot to hit the save button when I was done. And another challenge I had was sound issues. On my original videos that I had all the way edited out as my final product, I learned that the audio on them didn't come through for some reason when I uploaded them. So I had to overlay the sounds of the videos over the actual video, and that took me a while just to get everything perfect, because that really annoyed me when their mouths didn't match the words that were being said. And I believe that school sports should continue being offered by schools because they are important to students and they can help raise grade point averages and are shown to lower the dropout rate amongst these students. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions? The videos and everything? Well, the making the videos and everything took me about 2 months to actually get everybody in and video everything, and then the actual editing took me about a month and a half to get it all situated. Yes, our football coach Ian there helped me with that. He was my mentor.
John, in your profile, you talked about wanting to go to college to play football, be an athletic trainer or coach. Do you anticipate using your videos that you created this to help you later on?
Yes, sir. McPherson. Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think you're looking for?
I look forward to being in a winning program and a place that really they focus on their athletes more than they focus on winning games like that. Thank you. Oh, that picture's starting on there.
My judge is ready. All right. I'm assuming most of you guys in here have a car, being adults. Well, when I very first got my car, I didn't care about it either. And I'm assuming that most people don't. But when I very first got my car, I decided that I wanted to make it look like nobody else's. And that's what I did my project about, is vinyl. I took my car from this to this using vinyl and a few TLC. Now, that's a wrap by me, Jared DeLuna. Vinyl is growing in popularity, very first used for businesses. Businesses used it as a way to create their labels without having to take weeks in the paint shop. Now, paint takes way longer to use, and when they very first got the paint on the car, truck, or van, when they very first used it for their businesses, they had to take multiple weeks to take it to the shop and leave it there for it to get painted. And then when they had to sell it, they had to scrape that paint off, which took forever, and it was a pain in the butt. When they created vinyl, vinyl was an easy way to put it on there and get it off really fast and sell that car or truck for brand new almost after they're done using it for their business. Now, it's growing in popularity by people putting it on their cars personally now instead of using it on business, vans, cars, or trucks. Now, it's very cost effective, only costing $800 per roll of 58. And that's enough to cover your car, truck, or van and have extra layover if you do something to your car or truck. Now, it's long-lasting protection. You put it on top of your paint and it lasts an extra 5 years on top of your paint, making your paint under last way longer. It's easy maintenance. It's really easy to clean. It's way easier to clean than paint is depending on the shade that you get. It's used for businesses, like I said, to put their labels on and to get them off. Paint protection film is a thing you can put over your vinyl. It's 0.06 to 10 millimeters thick and is used to protect your vinyl if you hit, scratch, ding, or something else happens to your car. You can take it off very easily and it does not remove your wrap or paint along with it. It's very cost effective. It costing only $6 to $1,000 to wrap your hood, lights, and front fenders and bumper. But when you get up to costing your whole car, putting your whole car in paint protection film, it's going to cost way more, costing up to $8,000. But that protects your car for a long time, adding on to the vinyl's health and lasting longer. It also has self-healing effects when you get dents or dings that come out along when you set it in the sun. Paint. Paint comes factory, and that's why people think it's the best. Paint is good, and it lasts way longer, lasting up to 8 to 10 years, depending if you take care of it. It could last way longer, 10 to 15. Now, paint needs more care because it has multiple things on it that make it more care, including the clear that goes over when you actually do your car. Now, they have more vibrant colors in paint, but you can get that paint from vinyl as well. This color over here that you're seeing on this purple car is called Purple Pop. It's 4 different colors matched into one to make it pop, like it says, to make it stand out very vibrant. So that color over there, it's purple base, and they put pink and a lighter pink into it. So when you see it when it glistens in the sun, it looks pink and purple at the same time. Now, they're solid metallic matte and pearlescent finishes when you come to your paint. It's all the same in vinyl as well. They have exactly the same thing in the vinyl. Ceramic coating is exactly like paint protection film for vinyl, except it costs less and it lasts longer. Now, it covers your paint for protection, so extra protection, like I said, with the vinyl. It's the exact same thing, except it goes over your paint. If you put this ceramic coating over your vinyl, it won't last as long, and when you try to rip up the vinyl, your ceramic coating is going to stay on top of the vinyl, making it not easy to get off like it would be if you put your paint protection film on there. Now, there's less damage paint over time using this. It has the same self-healing abilities as the paint protection film does. But this, you can get deeper cuts into your paint, and you won't notice it as much because there's more of a layer than there is with the paint protection film. Now, this is $5,000 to $3,000 to install because you just put it on a wipe, and they wipe it over your car, and it stays on there. Depending on how thick you want it, is going to go up on the cost side as well. Now, the price for paint, like I said, is $3,000 to $5,000 if you want to get it professionally done. I would get it professionally done if I were you guys as well, because if you do it by yourself, it could look horrible. I've seen people do it by themselves, and it looks absolutely terrible. Wrap, I would suggest trying it by yourself. When you buy something, buy a small portion of it and then try it on yourself. When I first got my wrap, I tried to do it by myself and messed it all up. So I had to ask my mentor on how to do it. Now, you can do it for yourself for paint for about $2,000 after you get your supplies, your paint gun, and everything else. But like I said, you definitely don't want to do that yourself. You want to take it to a professional. I wrapped this car by myself for about $950 after I bought supplies, the vinyl, and the extra vinyl that I needed. The prep work difference between paint and vinyl is way different than what you think it is. With paint, you have to get your car, sand it down, put your primer over it and everything else to get it to where you need to do to paint it. There's 3 to 4 steps in paint, and there's only 2 in wrap, which makes it way more faster and easier to do. The 2 steps that I did in my paint were I sanded it and cleared it so that the adhesive on the vinyl would stick on the car. This is my product. I wrapped my sister's car for her birthday in purple lavender from Vinyl Frog. Now, it was a very hard process when I very first started because I had no idea what I was doing. I've watched my dad do it before, and I've helped a little bit before, but I still had no idea. Now, when I very first got the car, it had hail dents in it, so I had to fix the hail in the trunk and on the roof and on the hood. When I very first did that, I took it to the shop, and I took everything out that I needed to take out, which is the headlights, the front, the front grille, and the fog lights. I ended up taking off the wheels and the door handles so my dad could paint those to be black. This is when I very first started wrapping the hood by myself. This was the very first part of the car I wrapped by myself. I assumed it was going to be the easiest because it was a flat surface, so that's what I started on. This is the side of the car that I started wrapping. This is the part that cost me the most money. So I thought if I stretched that all the way back, like the video said, I was watching a video, and I assumed that if I stretched it all the way back like it said and cut it in the right place, that it'd work. Well, I ended up cutting it too short, so when I hit it with the heat gun, it peeled up and it didn't work. So I had to order some more, and that ended up costing me like an extra $100. So I should have just asked for help instead of doing it myself. And that's one of the problems that I had. This is me wrapping the front fender after the hood's already done. The challenge that I had with wrapping it myself, like I said, when I was with my mentor, I tend to not listen to what they're saying, and I probably should have listened to what he was saying. So it ended up costing me more money in the long run, but it was fine because it's a learning experience. I wasted a lot of vinyl. Vinyl, they cost me a lot. Let's just say that. I had bodywork. The bodywork, like I said, when I very first started, no idea what I was doing either, so I had to ask my dad a lot of questions. It was kind of hard because he was at his job doing his thing, and I had to call him every 5 minutes to ask him if I was doing this right. I broke the grill. So when I was very first taking off the car, I was like, this is easy. This clip will just pop right off. I ended up breaking the grill in half, so I had to buy a new one and paint that one to match the car as well. I had a deadline. I wouldn't say it was like a big deadline. I got it on time, but I had to get it done by my sister's 16th birthday so that she could have a beautiful car to go along with mine, the better one, obviously. Well, which one would I choose? I think that vinyl is the better option here because it lasts longer. You can change the color easier, and all around, I think it's just better because it's vinyl. Who doesn't like vinyl? It's more affordable, $800 a roll, and you can wrap by yourself. I mean, as long as you know how to do it, your car will look fine. You can change it more often, like I said. There's different stuff you can change it to, different colors. If you want a different color every month, you have $800. You can do it if you want. So vinyl also comes in more tints. So if you have a carbon fiber hood, right? You go to a car meet, you have a carbon fiber hood. You can wrap that for $60 instead of paying $3,000 for it. Nobody will ever know the difference unless there's dents, dings, or whatever, and nobody would know. Vinyl Frog also has tints for your windows, which you could do by yourself instead of taking it to a tint shop and having them do it for $300 to $500. You could do it for $60 to $80, depending on if you know how to do that for yourself as well. Vinyl is just a better way to do things yourself and save yourself money, and you can create job opportunities out of it. And that's why I believe that vinyl is the new king of the automotive industry. Do my judges have any questions?
So is dust an issue? I know like painting cars,
Yeah. So you definitely want to, yeah, it's essentially the same level. You definitely want to clean your surface before you put it on there, because if you don't clean your surface before you put it on there, it will not stick. And if it sticks, it'll come up, and then you have a whole other problem. We have to wrap it again. Yeah, okay, so when you get the vinyl, it'll have the front where the vinyl actually is, it has a plastic cover over it, and then the bottom also has, you pull off a piece, and you'll stick it on, you'll heat it up, and then you'll pull it to where you need to go. It was up there, yeah. I bought the whole set of the tools that I needed to do it, so it was magnets, the squeegee, and then the heat gun, and whatever else came with it, like the cutting tools. It was like $150, I think, for like the whole thing. So it wasn't horrible. Yeah. So on that door piece, the door piece that I showed you, I put one on the front fender, and then I put one on the bottom, and then I pulled the vinyl off and I stretched it all the way down. So if you have somebody else, you don't have to use the magnets, but I use the magnets because I didn't have anybody else with me at the time.
So do you heat it up and then, once it's stuck, you cut it up, or do you have to cut it off?
So what I do when I laid it down, I put it fully on, and then like you said, you just cut around the pieces. Yeah. So yeah, you wanna stick bump. Yeah, yeah. So on that door, I cut it too short, and when you heat it up, it shrinks. So like when it actually sticks to it, it shrinks. So I ended up like misjudging like how much it would shrink. So that's what I did, and it shrunk up past the door. So yeah, I had to redo it again. Yeah.
Do weather conditions outside affect how the wrap applies to the car?
Yeah.
I did it inside.
Yeah, that was in the cold. Yeah, I had my little heater. So you have to heat it up a lot more when you're in the cold. So I think it was like 55 to 60 in there when I did it. So I heated up way more when I stuck it on. But I would say if you're wrapping it outside like a hot summer day, you don't have to heat it up that much because your metal on your car already be hot, so it'll stick as soon as you put it on. I would like to, yes. I would like to do this as a career, yeah. And then I would like to help. My dad's starting a business where he's redoing the cars, and I would like to wrap in detail for him if I could, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I would like to use it in the future, yes, for sure.
Just what they offer, like.
Yeah. You probably could. I didn't really put that much research into it. All I know is that she wanted this color, so that's it. I made her pick from 3, and then I surprised her on which one it actually was. So I went with this one because this was the best one that I saw. So it'd be the same process as putting on. You heat it up and you just tear it off, yeah, and then you'll have to clean it after, but yeah, you'll have your residue on there. It's exactly the same as putting on. Just heat it up and pull it off. Nope, your paint will be as shiny as you put it on.
The time matches the car, like you do. Yes, we will take the temperature. Yeah, come on in. If you'll just sit at this back, we have Daniel before the judges switch out. So if you just want to watch
Okay.
Daniel and then, you guys watching? Oh. It'll be fine.
Are my judges ready? Now, imagine you're running the 400 in track. Your legs are screaming and the finish line feels miles away. Well, that's how I felt when I was running the 400. Today, my name is Daniel Manuel, and I'm going to show you how you can go from tired to inspired. First, let's see why I chose fatigue. There are many different reasons of why I chose fatigue. First reason being because many people believe that fatigue is just someone simply running and getting tired. Well, that is simply just not the truth. Fatigue is way more than that. It can do a lot more to your health that you don't realize. Another reason why I chose fatigue is because I am heavily involved in sports, and I also get tired. So I wanted to know the science behind it and the research behind it so I can help myself and the people around me. So first of all, let's discover fatigue. Fatigue affects mostly athletes, as athletes are the one who mostly move around and do the exercises in sports. Most cases of fatigue are not severe. What I mean by this is you can get a good 20 to 30 minutes of rest and you'll be all right. Fatigue should 100% be taken seriously. Many people don't take it seriously, and it can be a career ender. Many people don't know this, but if you are severely fatigued and you don't get checked out and go to the hospital, it can do stuff to your health that you don't even know. It is also visible in all sports. For example, football, soccer, track, basketball. It is visible in all sports because all sports involve some type of running. So that means all sports involve some type of fatigue. Let's look at the different effects of fatigue. First effect is reduced energy and stamina. Now, for example, when I'm playing in soccer, I'm running back and forth a lot. Well, this brings my energy and stamina to an all-time low. Another effect is slowed reaction time. I'm going to use another example, like when I'm running in track, and for example, I'm running the 400, and I'm panting and breathing heavily. Well, all my reaction times get slowed because of the breathing and the panting. Another one is blurred vision. I've also experienced this before when I was running in track. It's when you're running so hard and you're breathing so hard and also panting really hard that your vision starts to blur. Another one is muscle fatigue, or as many people know, cramps. Now this happens to a lot of kids. What cramps really is when you overwork or overuse one muscle. And this allows you to cramp in your legs. Another one is stomach and digestive problems. So for example, in track, we have lactic day. Basically what happens is all your lactic acids build up, and this can cause you to throw up or many other stomach and digestive problems. Now, let's look at the research on fatigue. 43% of pro athletes suffer from minor fatigue. So what I mean by this is they can take their good 20 to 30 minutes of rest and they'll be all right. 60% of high schoolers suffer from fatigue. As I said before, 20 to 30 minutes and they'll be all right. But 35% of pro athletes suffer from serious fatigue. This means that they must go to the hospital and get themselves checked out. Because if not, a lot of damage can happen to their health. So you're probably asking, what are the solutions? There are many different solutions. The first one, and the most important one, is prioritizing sleep. What I mean by this is getting your good 6 to 8 hours of sleep. If you don't get your 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body won't function as it's supposed to, and you won't run as fast or do as good in whatever sport you're in. Another one is adopting a healthy diet. A lot of people in America eat unhealthy, and this is actually a very big cause of why people underperform, is because of their diet. Another one, and a lot of people don't know this, is managing stress. Now imagine you're playing whatever your sport, but you have a lot on your mind and you're all stressed out. You're going to underperform and not play as well because of all that stress built up. Another one is seek medical advice. If you have serious fatigue, then you must seek medical advice. Because as I said before, If you don't seek medical advice, a lot can happen with your health. Another solution is engage in regular physical activity. What I mean by this is you shouldn't be in bed or sleep all day. What you should do is go out maybe for a light jog so that your body could go back to what it was used to. So when I was picking my product, I had a lot on my mind. The first thing is I wanted to prevent major fatigue. I wanted whatever product I built to prevent fatigue. Another thing is I definitely wanted to help the community. I didn't want the product I built just to help athletes or people who run, but people of the community as well. Another one is I definitely wanted to do something with sports, as I am heavily involved in sports. So what I built was a bench. I built 2 benches for the soccer field, one for my team and one for the opposing team. The reason why I built this is because not only can you sit on a bench, but it can also prevent fatigue this way. This way that you can get your proper amount of rest by sitting on it. So I had a lot of struggles when I was creating my product. My first struggle that I had was measuring properly, as I didn't know how to measure properly, but luckily my mentor came along and he helped me with this, and I got through it. Another one is the different sanding techniques. I didn't really know how to sand at first, but my mentor also came along and he helped me. Another very big struggle that I had was gathering all the materials, as I had to go look for all the materials and it took me some time. But I got it all and I got it all done, thankfully. Another thing that was pretty big was the material cost, as to make one bench, it costs about $30. So both benches cost about $60. And this is quite a lot of money for me. So yeah. Another one that I had to think of was the wood type and thickness. I had to get treated wood because if I didn't and I just put the benches out there, it would rot over some time. But I wanted whatever product I created to not rot and stay out there for maybe 5 or 10 years. This is me actually working on my bench, as you can see. So you're probably asking why I put these pictures up here. These are pictures of different fatigue players. The reason why I picked this picture up here is to show you that all people get fatigue. Not just the pros, but everybody gets fatigue. If you're in some kind of sport, then you are most likely going to get fatigued one way or another. This is an inspiring quote that I saw. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. I put this quote up here because it reminded me that everyone can get fatigue. And if not treated correctly, then it could have a big toll on your health. Thank you for listening to me, and that's how you go from tired to inspired. My judges have any questions? I also play track. Yeah. Striker. No, not really. Some things that you can do is mostly get rest. So like maybe sit for 20, 30 minutes, drink a lot of water definitely, and that should probably help you. But if you have like serious fatigue, then you should definitely go and get checked out in the hospital.
Hey. This is how we're doing. How are you doing? Good? Good.
I was thinking, if I would have known when the last question was gonna be, I would have taken.
How are you, Miss Julie? Good, how are you? Good. Have been fighting. See you guys later. They've been fighting. You're out of here? I'm done. Okay. How are you? Good, how are you? You got it, so we, I'm hoping. Okay. Exploring the role of country. Okay.
Take a breath.
No, this one is just, this, there you go.
For high school.
I'm gonna wait until slash changeover stops.
That's great, Miss Wilson. They're going to get his product.
So they're not seeing it.
No, I don't believe.
Yes. Yes, that's where Mr. Sutter is. The first few days I had people show up in my office, I'm like, no. I'm taking you for advisory. It's still in June today. But like,
Because that is confusing, it was for me too. I don't know if she can do that on the phone. We could probably make sure we tell everybody that.
Are my judges ready?
Wait just a second. She's gonna try again. Just a second. Well, no, it didn't have her name on it. It had a different name on it. There's a second. Okay, you're good.
My name is Perry Younger, and I'm here to talk to you about the role hunting has in conservation, as well as what role it has on the hunter psychologically. So, by hunting just a few deer a year, you can help stop chronic wasting disease, which kills thousands. Speaking of my project, I wanted something that I've already had some experience with, so that way I didn't, basically, it wouldn't be completely new, but I still wanted to learn a lot coming into it. So, I worked at a deer ranch for about 6 months, and in that 6 months, I encountered chronic wasting disease, which is basically a disease that attacks the neurological cells of the brain and then the vital organs of the animal. I also wanted a project that I could use after high school. That way it'd be beneficial for me in the future. So that way I can use it for years to come instead of just my senior year. Some psychological benefits of hunting are stress and anxiety relief. This is by being out in the outdoors, things slow down. You're not surrounded by all the stress and people that you had before. That way your brain has time to basically think through everything it's thinking clearly and thoroughly. Another benefit is self-esteem. It's scientifically proven that being out there boosts your self-esteem because you start looking at your outlook on yourself and your situations as greater than what you have been or what you were, because you're surrounded by all the stress of being in civilization, and now you're in the outdoors and things slow down because it's quiet. Another benefit that's not completely noticeable at first is self-reliance. This is basically just having the information in your brain to where you can rely on yourself by hunting to provide for yourself. So this will be like, say, one day if there's a food shortage or something, you can go hunting and then basically you have food. Physical benefits is physical fitness. A lot of times in deer hunting and turkey hunting, it involves lots of extensive walking, which helps get your body in shape, as well as your heart rate up, which helps burn calories and fat. It also helps for a healthier diet. This is mainly talking about deer meat in particular, because that's what I did my project on. Deer meat is known as one of the leanest meats, which basically means it has the lowest fat rating among any dark meated animal. So it's extremely healthy for you because it has low fat. Now, obviously, there is some parts of the deer that has a higher density of fat, which are not as healthy for you, but it has the highest majority of lean meat. Some conservational benefits of hunting are population control. This can be seen through, if you have too many deer, then more disease are going to run rampant because it's overpopulated and they're all right next to each other, and they're always basically being around each other, which helps the disease spread. Land preservation. So in this picture right here, I have what's known as a deer scrape from a buck, which is a male deer. And if that happens on so many smaller trees, then there's not going to be a great amount of forestation in the future because you're not having new trees replace the old ones as time is moving forward. This is the same way with like grazing and stuff. So with grazing, they're basically eating acorns off the ground and stuff, which is causing a less seeds to be on the ground for future forestation. This also helps disease limitations, which I already talked about. And that picture is known as blue tongue disease. It's a chronic wasting disease that attacks the tongue and throat of the animal, which helps it, or not helps it, which swells up the throat and tongue, which basically suffocates the animal. So they're not after food and water anymore. They're after basically how can this help feel better. So they'll be bobbing their head up and down. It's a very
It's a very serious disease within the deer herd and knocks out a lot a year. But in particular, chronic wasting disease is very serious, and this was a case found in Washington. It's where they called them zombie deer, but it's really just chronic wasting disease where it attacked the neurological cells of the brain. This caused them to not focus on food and water, which make them malnutritioned, which also then led to their vital organs starting to shut down because they don't have anything to go off of as far as nutrients. They're very lethal to deer herds. When I was working at the deer ranch, it knocked out 23 head of deer in one weekend, and I've also had experience with it at my house. We had a deer that had walked out, and you can tell it was obviously suffering from this. So it was kind of scary to see it around. You don't think about it until you really see it around yourself, which makes it about 10 times worse. There are no vaccinations for this yet. They've been trying since around 2010. We noticed this disease running rampant, and we've been trying ever since to find a vaccination the conservation department has, but to this day there still has been no improvements. It's also not contaminable to humans, so humans cannot get this disease or what we know yet, but so that's nice to think about. There are mutual feeding zones is how it spreads. So if they're grazing in a specific area or drinking from a specific stream in particular, their saliva and stuff will get in their food, which basically leads to more deer coming and grazing, and then basically it'll spread through the saliva because it'll get in their system, and then it'll start the disease back up. Consumption of infected contaminants, this is basically, this results to, so if it's illegal in Missouri for people to feed in deer and stuff, and chronic wasting disease is why. Not a lot of people know that. So if they're say a deer has saliva on corn and they go back through and eat it, then it's going to spread to that other deer who ate it because now it's in their system going directly to their organs, attacking their nervous system. Bodily fluids. So during the fall, there's what hunters know it's a rut, which is basically just the deer breeding season. So a lot of times they'll track each other by the doe urinating and the buck tracking them through their nose. Well, when the buck goes up to smell where they had urinated to help track them, that's one of the leading causes of chronic wasting disease spreading is because of them going straight into their nose and then it goes through the brain. Stopping chronic wasting disease, I feel like there needs to be proper education. I feel like Missouri Conservation in particular hasn't done an amazing job at basically teaching hunters, especially about chronic wasting disease and what we can do to stop it, because my entire family has been hunting for generations and they hadn't really heard of these diseases until I did this project. So it was kind of a learning moment for them as well. Picking up waste is another way. So that's just how the disease starts. So basically waste and stuff gets in the water and then their food, and then it pollutes the ground and the water, which involves trash, everything. So if you pick up your waste, believe it or not, you're doing a lot more for the environment and different species as a whole. Culling populations is just hunting, doing your part, basically making sure that they're not being overpopulated, but you also have to be careful because you don't want to take too much from them, which doesn't really rely on hunters as much as conservation. Proper hunting management is basically what I just said. My product I built was a deer blind. It took me about 2 months to do. It was very extensive and I had to pay really close attention to detail. Some obstacles I had was the prices. So if you look around, there's probably about a dozen different lumber yards around us, and they all have different prices by like $20,000. And then the tools is basically, so for the tin, I didn't have the grinder to basically cut the tin, so I had to borrow one from Josh Owens, which he was my mentor, and that was another obstacle I had because he was always working on the CTE building, and there's not much time that he could actually help me, but he did help me enough to where I could get it done. Attention to detail was a massive one because let's just say cutting and actually screwing it together is a lot harder than you think because you got to do it to where it actually looks good, and if you're not used to doing it, it's a pretty serious learning experience because it'll look like crap if you don't. So overall, chronic wasting disease is a very serious disease, and by hunting, humans not only help themselves with stress and anxiety relief, but they also help to prevent this disease from happening in the future. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions?
I do. So picking up waste is a way that we can help. What do you mean specifically?
So waste, so a lot of waste and trash gets dissolves in the water supply and kind of soaks into the ground and stuff. When deer go behind grazing and drinking, that's basically gets into their system and it causes sicknesses, which eventually ramp up into what's known as chronic wasting disease or blue tongue disease. There was one. Yes, there was one by my house, which was I live between here and Mountain View, and that's the one I referred to earlier in the presentation. But it had blue tongue disease, and then do you know where Stony Point Ranch is? That's where I was working whenever I dealt with the huge case of chronic wasting disease, which knocked out around 23.
Was it the deer that were knocked out at the ranch?
It was the red deer. I was referring to this deer in general.
Said that you didn't feel like the conservation department's done a very good job
Mhm.
of providing education. So what would you suggest would be ways for
I would suggest basically having each year before hunters buy their tags to basically have a mandatory read on like a little article or something, because if it's too big, hunters are probably not going to read it. But just basically going over chronic wasting disease and how they can help prevent it and how to hunt responsibly.
what was I have a question, the cost of you making it versus buying it?
So buying a blind would have been about around 1,000, give or take, and then I built it for like 1,200, but I added a lot of bells and whistles, so I probably made it more expensive than what it actually needed to be. Do my judges have any more questions? Thank you for your time.
My judges ready? In recent years, technology has gotten more and more advanced by the day. Some of these advancements are good and others can be arguably negative. Whether they are good or bad, these advancements have been made. It's hard to believe that only a few thousand years ago, this was the most advanced technology we've had. And to think that we've come from this to skyscrapers and ways of transportation like airplanes and vehicles is kind of crazy to me. The most recent influential advancement we have made in technology is the internet. The internet was created in the late 1960s as a way for our troops in the Cold War to communicate better with each other. This brought social transformations as it was easier for us to communicate, and we didn't have to wait nearly as long for messages to come across. Along with these transformations and the internet being worked on, memory limits were broken within the internet, which allowed for the ease of storing data online so we could save things on the internet, which led to the earliest forms of social media. The term social media was coined in 1994, and this started out with the earliest forms of social media, like message boards, which are similar to what we see with email today. As I said in the previous slide, with these memory limits being broken and this allowing us to store more data, we were allowed to save chats online with this. And this brought new social media platforms, which we know today as MySpace and Facebook. And I believe Facebook has hung around a little bit longer. And with these new platforms, this brought increasing users day by day to the internet, which led to the creation of more and more platforms as time went on. Dopamine has also played a role in this. Dopamine is known as the pleasure neurotransmitter in our brain. It is one of the several that we have. You can experience a rush of dopamine from when you eat an ice cream cone to when you see bright lights on the street or anywhere. Due to the fact that there is no limit of how much internet you can consume and how much time you can spend on it, this can lead to an overexposure in dopamine, which can lead to an addiction or reliance to dopamine, causing you to have the urge to go back to the internet and causing you to want to consume more and more over time. There was a study shown by the Children's Hospital of Michigan that said a majority of teens have an addiction or reliance to dopamine due to social media and the internet. Because of this and the way dopamine can be used to aid social media and technology, with all the countless new platforms, and some being designed for addiction, social media has become a place where it is purely designed to draw young teens in and keep them addicted and have them crave the urge to consume more and more dopamine. And this can be seen in even ways like notifications. A certain notification sound can ring a bell in your head and give you that urge to want to come back and consume more. In 2021, Salem Press did a study showing that there were over 4.3 billion active users on social media, and this is over half of the current world population. With all these users, this can bring negative activity to platforms and negative users and cause negative effects on mental health. With all of this time people are now spending on social media, this leads me to introduce screen time. Screen time is the amount of time an individual spends on a screen, whether it is your cell phone, your laptop, or your television. Due to the internet becoming more and more required in the education and workforce, it has caused us to consume more and more screen time every day, which can lead to overconsumption because a majority of people will spend their day on the screen working, and they'll come home, and some people like to decompress with their phone and get on social media, and this can lead to overconsumption and screen time. With all these negative aspects, there are ways we can move forward. One of these ways is to directly limit your screen time, whether this is telling yourself you're not going to be on your phone as much throughout the week, or it is setting limits in your settings so you cannot
get on as much. Or you could also use platforms as intended just to communicate with people you may not get to see as often, or you can even build your own algorithm to be educational or helpful to you in what field you're in. And one of the final ways I've listed is you can take digital detoxes, which is you can spend more time outside and tell yourself tell yourself whenever you feel the urge to go get on your phone to decompress, you'll just go outside instead and detox that way. The vision of my product was I wanted something where you could still entertain yourself, but I wanted it to where you could still limit it so you wouldn't be over-consuming. So when you want to be entertained, you can open the TV, if it will. Yeah. So when you want to be entertained, you can open it, and it comes out and you can watch it. But when you feel that the need that I want it to be ease of access, and when you feel that it is too much, you can put it away, so it's out of sight and out of mind, and you don't have to worry about the temptation to get on and decompress with screens. And I also wanted it to be watertight so I could have it for outdoor use, because I would like to put it on my deck outside. I began putting these plans to action in November of 2024. I started brainstorming with my father because that is who I built it for. He said that he wanted it to be able to go outside, but he also wanted it to be easily accessible. I then had to find a mentor, which was kind of hard for me because I wasn't really comfortable with anyone to work with, but I ended up landing on Mr. Bell because I believe I've built a good relationship with him. In the past 2 years, I've had his class, and I was comfortable with working with him. After I got my mentor, I began designing and drawing up a blueprint and listing my materials off to see how much I would need for this and to see how much it would roughly cost. This product obviously did have its challenges, one of which was keeping a unique design. I wanted it to be different from the designs I looked at online. A majority of them did not have doors like there are on this one, and I wanted to implement that so I could easily work on it if I needed to. And I also needed it to be weatherproof, obviously, because it's going to be outside. I also wanted it to look seamless, look like it wasn't just thrown together in a week. I wanted it to look nice, so when people saw it, they wouldn't just think it was thrown together quickly. And one of my final challenges was trying to keep enough space inside of it, so it wouldn't just be a TV in there, but you could also put a console in there if you'd like to play games, or you could put a DVD player or anything you would like to put in there. As I was working through this, I began developing a mindset, thinking that it wasn't going to come together as well as I planned. And when I started researching a quote, I landed on this one: "It always seems impossible until it's done," which was said by Nelson Mandela. And I believe this was my mindset throughout a majority of the project. There were times where it seemed like it was going to be hard, but when I finally completed my project, I was confident that it was going to be, it turned out better than I thought it would. While technology does have its downsides and negative aspects, there are ways we can move forward, and I believe that my product is one of these ways. Do my judges have any questions? Yeah.
So
Yes.
TV is one of the screen times,
Mhm.
but you also talked about, your work and there's screen time, and then there's your phone. So do you have any plans of a way to build something to put your phone in that you can't get it back out of whenever you get home?
That would be an easier way to keep your phone put away. The school does have pouches.
You could put a timer on it where it can
Yeah.
hold open for somebody.
Are there any more questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Are my judges ready? So many people are worried about the transition between the elementary and middle school and high school classroom that I received when I was in education to a modern day looking one with computers and technology. My name is Everett Smith, and I believe that the future of education relies on embracing technology. So when I was choosing my project, I was thinking, what do I know from scratch? I knew that I was a student and I've been a student all my life, and that I was a teacher's kid, so I have been surrounded by education since preschool and since I was born. So when my research came along and I was thinking of a research paper, I was researching about technology in education, I found 4 major bullet points that benefited from technology. That would be students, teachers, administrators, and parents and guardians. All these four subjects benefited from technology in major ways. So student life, the way they benefit from technology, I researched that schools are replacing textbooks. In Branson, schools are replacing textbooks with iPads and Chromebooks completely because textbooks are expensive, they're heavy to carry around in book bags, and they're just very unreliable. They can get damaged and torn up easy, and with Chromebooks and iPads, they can be bought once and you only have to pay one time for that textbook because it's online downloaded. Recorded lessons here at Willow Springs, our math teacher actually records lessons and posts them on YouTube so that if you are missing class, you can go to YouTube and watch those lessons and get caught back up. That is accessible through the internet and technology. Text-to-speech, students do have reading impairments. If they cannot read as well and they learn better being read to, they can apply a text-to-speech feature on their reading lessons, and they can put headphones on and not disturb the class while having somebody being read to them, and they can have the voice being read to them through their headphones. Contacting and researching workplaces, I've done several projects in school throughout my educational career where we've had to work with businesses around our community and contact people using email or calling them through phones. And so contacting and researching these workplaces, it really benefits the student life, increases creativity, and allows for different projects to be done in school. Creativity, we have a website called Canva that we work on that I have never used so much in my life until this year, and I honestly love Canva. I've gotten so much more creative. I used Canva to make everything that you're seeing right now. We've used Canva in different assignments in different classes such as business management, making posters, advertisements for makeup businesses. Classroom opportunities in the classroom, students in physics or biology can look at an atom or a molecule of something and spin that molecule around on their device and see the different parts of that atom or molecule. There are visual learners in classrooms. There's no doubt about that. So if a student doesn't take well from teachers and learn of just being told what to do and then having to do it, they can see a visual representation on their screen of what they need to be doing and get a better idea of the material. Struggling students, if a student is struggling in class, teachers can assign assignments that are more personalized to the way that they learn and the way that they handle situations for assignments. On Canva, we use Canva here at school, and teachers can just post on that, and students won't know if another student is getting a different assignment because they're just reading it off their computer. Access to the internet, we've done so many research projects here at Willow Springs, all of them starting with the internet. We've only done a couple that involve books, which there's no difference, but the internet, you don't have to go and check out a book and flip through it. You can search for keywords when you're looking through your research on a website. Just makes it easier to find the information you're looking for. Teachers and administration, they benefit heavily from technology in so many ways. First one being tracking and sharing student progress. We use another website called Infinite Campus here at Willow Springs that we students use, and so the teachers, we use that to schedule our advisories, we use it to look at our grades, our GPAs, our lunch bills. All of our information is stored on one app, on one website, in one place. Super handy and nice to have. Transferring information with students, like I mentioned, we use Canvas, and so teachers can post on their website, on their bulletin, and that way they're not having to repeat themselves several times throughout their class to students who need them to be read aloud again. The students can go onto Canvas, just look at what's posted, and they can read it as many times as they need. Communicating with parents and guardians, administration and teachers, the number one thing that when it comes to communicating with them is weather, especially here in Southwest Missouri. We have this in the past couple weeks, several storms. And so coming through that, communicating with parents and guardians is very important, letting them know when we're going into tornado drill that their students and their kids are safe. Applying the research, I wanted students to experience technology early on. We only had one computer lab when I was in elementary, so I wanted to give the students more of a technology-based classroom and get them more used to experiencing technology before they got into middle school and were just bombarded with it. Making technology available, like I mentioned, there was only one computer lab, so by making more technology available, they wouldn't have to go to just one class throughout their elementary life to just get that little bit of internet in just that period of their day. I want to help the community. Community has always been a big part of me in my life. I love my community. I'm from West Plains, but I go to school in Willow, so I love community just as a whole, and I know I wanted to benefit the Willow Springs community as much as it has benefited me. Picking my mentor, all I knew is that I needed somebody who is familiar with the education system and who is also handy with their hands. So I was like, well, let's get to thinking about who that could possibly be. And I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but I immediately went to Carl Lewis. He was super nice. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's been around the education system for a while. He's employed here at Willow Springs, and he is the maintenance man, so he knows how to work with his hands. So for my product, I made a mounted counter that sits on the wall. It is used for Chromebook work in the classroom, and it seats 5 students. There is a picture of it mounted with 5 stools, as I mentioned, and there's holes in it to run cords through to plug into the Chromebook so that they can always stay charged and not have to be returned to the case for them to charge. So the first chunk of it was obviously assembling everything together. We used plywood and some birch slabs to make the foundation of it, and it required a lot of sanding. Applying contact cement. I have never worked with contact cement, so it was a new thing to learn. It is a very unique substance. I had never seen anything like it before. It is very sticky, very hard to work with, and so it was just a fun thing to learn how to do. Super glad I got that opportunity. And then rolling laminate. I had never worked with laminate in my entire life. Laminate is what is on all of these tables that you see in front of you. Very similar to what I made. It was definitely a neat experience. I had also never worked with laminate. So rolling it out was not hard to do, but it was sure fun. The challenges I faced with this portion was learning to route. I had never used a routing machine before, and that is what makes the curve on the table so that's not very sharp when students are working on it and they don't cut their hand open. I never used a routing machine. So learning that was a challenge within itself because you have to learn the little jitters that it has that come with it and just how it works. The contact cement, like I mentioned, I had never worked with it before, so learning how the way that it works and trying not to get it everywhere all over the shop floor was a pain within itself. Using laminate, it is a very hard substance and it's tricky to lay down and make sure that there's not any bubbles in it when you're laying your laminate down, because if there is bubbles in it, it just won't have a neat finish and it won't look appropriate enough for a school environment. The next portion, once we had the laminate on, was taping off the wood so that we could stain it. I personally do not like taping off, so I had to struggle getting through that mentally. It's very frustrating. You have to take it and be very intricate with the way that you're taping off. After that, like I mentioned, we stained the wood. Staining is super fun. I honestly love staining, so I had a blast with this part. And then finally with this section, we spray the clear coat on the wood to give it that nice glossy look. The challenges that I faced with this portion were spraying on clear coat. I had sprayed clear coat previously, but that was only on vehicles, and it sprays differently on wood, so I'd never sprayed clear coat on wood, and it's a very thin substance, so spraying it on, you can't do it too thick or else it'll run and get everywhere and it just won't look good at all. And you can't do it too thin or else it won't look glossy. A thorough tape job, like I mentioned, I am not a fan of taping, so getting through that mentally and physically, it was just a pain. The final portion was actually installing it. We had to drill holes in the laminate, and like I mentioned, laminate is a very hard substance, so drilling through it took forever. We drilled holes through the laminate to make cords, like I mentioned, for the cords to run up through the counter to plug the Chromebooks into. We drilled screws into the wall. I had never drilled into cinder blocks before, especially with as big a screws as we did, so that was definitely an interesting process for me. And the whole thing was just a learning process. I had never worked with as many tools as I have in my entire life on this project, and as you can see, I'm just learning from Carl bit by bit on what to do. The challenges I faced with this was we actually had to dismount the counter after we had mounted it once already. We had mounted the counter, and then my mom had said, hey, do you guys, think about putting holes in there for the Chromebooks to plug into? And we were like, oh my gosh, we failed to plan ahead. And we had to take the counter all the way off, drill the holes through that, and then mount the counter again. Not planning ahead, like I mentioned, it was just not fun to do because I was like, okay, I'm ready to get this over with. This is the last day that we have to work on this. And then this got brought up. So that was our fault for not planning ahead. And I've definitely learned from that, and I will never make that mistake again. Drilling into cinder blocks. So on these cinder blocks, it is very open in the middle, and then on the side there are supports. And so right where we had placed the mounts was where the sides of the cinder blocks were. So instead of just drilling through the face of it into open space, we had to drill all the way through the side of the cinder blocks. And that definitely took some skill and muscle to get it in there. The finished product. Here it is with the Chromebooks lined up in my mom's classroom with me sitting next to it. And there's the students working on their Chromebooks during recess. So with this 5, there's already 5 in there, so now 10 total students can work in my mom's classroom on Chromebooks, which makes it so much easier during iReady test days when they have to take placing test minutes instead of just taking 5 at a time and going through a whole lot longer process. You can get 10 knocked out of the way just like that. Many people were worried about the process between transforming between a older classroom that's based around packets and pencil work and whiteboards to a technology-based classroom, but I firmly believe that it has way more benefits than it does disbenefits. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions? My cost? Everything was for free. So the shop that I worked at with Carl, like I mentioned, he's employed. And so they had all the materials ready to work on. So I didn't pay a single dime.
So what were some things that you learned to work with patients as you encountered them?
So the taping off, so you have to go bit by bit and make sure it is perfectly aligned, because if it's off aligned a little bit, then you're going to get stain from your edge piece onto your laminate, and it just looks like dirty, like syrup was dropped onto it or something. You have to make sure that it is perfectly aligned all the way through. And the counter that we did was 10 foot, so the entire 10 foot of going all the way horizontal and then the vertical edges on the side. That took very much patience. It probably took me a good 45 minutes just to do that. It was not fun.
How'd you work through that?
Just saying, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get my product done. It's not going to look good.